at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to another edition of our Daily Gun Show. Today is Wednesday. Got Bob here from Canada, Dano from Illinois, Hawaii, from Arizona. Thanks guys for jumping in.
Oh, glad to be here.
We run the show for an hour every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We break up the hour into 20-minute segments and kind of mix those up throughout the week. So we try to cover a lot of different topics as well as a lot of different, or a lot of stuff that we hit every day. You know, we do different gun shops and stuff like that every day. Let's see, we're recording this live on the Daily Gun Show YouTube channel. So while it's live, we're watching the comments that come in from anybody watching us while we're live. And then we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. And of course, we're watching the comments as they come in live over there. Then once the show's over, we'll leave it on the Daily Gun Show YouTube channel so you can watch it anytime you'd like. There's show notes there with pretty much everything we've talked about during the show. All the links and everything to take you to wherever you need to go from whatever we talked about. And we take the audio from those videos and turn them into podcasts and post those on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. So anybody that might be listening to us in the future, we encourage you to leave us some feedback on whatever platform it is you listen to from. And if you'd like to give us any or more immediate feedback, you can drop us an email at dailygunshow@gmail.com. In fact, we've got Daily Gun Show on all the social media platforms. So we'll play a little bit on Instagram, we'll have a Twitter and the Facebook out there, but really the best way to get a hold of us is through that email, dailygunshow@gmail.com. All right, with all that being said, we break the segments up every day, or we break the shows up every day into segments, and we're going to be talking about CCW today, double action, single action. We'll be talking about movies of the 1990s, and then we'll be doing our tactical quiz. I totally forgot. We're supposed to be inviting our friend Matt from Never Enough Ammo. If he's around, we'll send him out a link, and he'll be joining us. But if not, let's dig right in. So usually we start the show off with anything that might happen overnight or anything newsworthy before we dig in. Is there anything like that today?
Just more the Democratic National Convention. I'm not sure much anything else.
Just kind of a quiet day so far. Yeah, I didn't see nothing.
It was yesterday when, or today's the day that Obama speaks, or no, that Clinton will speak, I guess. So yesterday was what, Obama and Clinton? Was it the presidents yesterday?
I was allergic yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I believe Bill Clinton speaks tonight.
Oh, tonight? Oh, so what was yesterday? I thought yesterday was like the presidents.
Or I got my days backwards. I thought Hillary was tomorrow. No?
It's still
I thought I saw something about Hillary making a surprise appearance or something.
Anyway, so I guess we suck at talking about Democrat convention stuff. But I spent the night watching that Stranger Things, whatever it's called, on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
I saw part of one episode. It looked pretty strange.
Well, it is in the title, so.
That's really good. You seen it, Dee?
No, it's on the Netflix, man. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm SOL currently on that.
I've been binge watching The Last Ship.
It would be extremely careless for someone to give you a Netflix password that you'd be able to watch with their account information. And although that's against their terms of service, we know from example that as long as we didn't know that it was extremely careless to do something like that, then, like Hillary, we should be absolved of any wrongdoing if we really just had no idea.
Well, we don't have to encourage chicanery like that. Actually, what's going to happen is next month I got like 3 or 4 days lined up where I'm going to be picking up golden dog turds, but during that time they do have the Netflix, so I will be able to catch up at that time. It just won't be until the end of next month, and then that way nobody's sensibilities get tested, and I can wait that long.
Yeah, because I know we make a lot of friends here on gun channels, and sometimes our friends are just like family.
Truly.
And you can share certain things with family.
True.
Legally.
Like a last name?
Well, that would be one, but not always. A lot of mixed families, different names.
So it was, I'm talking about it because it was awesome. And I stayed up all night watching it. It was
oh, nice.
10 8-hour sections. So it was like 8 hours. No, 10. What the hell am I saying? 8 1-hour segments. I just woke up, and it was pretty good. It was. It's basically like Stephen King. If he didn't write it, then they copied off Stephen King, kind of, mixed with maybe X-Files or something.
And anything that I did read that I did read about it totally said, this is the story of our youth, G-Webs, practically. I mean, we're pretty close in age and everything like that.
Yeah, maybe a little older than me, so I was maybe a little bit older than this, but not
you would be the older brother, right? And I would probably be the younger brother, or something to that effect. If you want to look at it that way.
Well,
so that was what I did read about it. Was that number one? I want to watch it because from what I read. But number two was, if you like part E.T., part Stephen King, and they definitely, whether it's homage or borrowing from, like you're saying, there's a whole lot of that going on from the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, for sure.
So would that make me your guys' daddy?
Not in this world, but perhaps.
No, Bob, not in any world.
But so, like you say, it's sort of like Stephen King or like X-Files or something. As far as the show, it's like sort of science fiction, but more like, I think they call that horror. I don't know. It's more like science fiction. So it's okay, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not. I don't like Stephen King stuff sometimes because it's so simple and stupid and obvious that you can see what's coming. This wasn't that bad. They played around with it enough that I'm trying not to spoil it for you. But the best part about it, I thought, was I like watching shows from the 70s that were made in the 70s because you get to see the 70s. This is a period piece or whatever they call that, where like everything is from the 80s. I only found like maybe 2 things that they really screwed up that couldn't have really been in the 80s, I don't think.
I think I saw one of them on your post already.
Yeah, this guy pulls out a switchblade, kind of. He goes clip, and then starts cutting a couch. And I'm like, yeah, we wish in the 80s there was like switchblades, but they were all Italian stilettos.
I was going to say they were stilettos, yep. Because I almost responded to your post on that earlier. I'm like, well, there were switchblades, but yeah, they were 99% stilettos pretty much, and which would like to break.
At least not in wherever this is supposed to be filmed in Indiana. There were no freaking switchblades in Indiana. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but as far as I know, I'm trying to remember if I've been to a gun show in Indiana.
I'm trying to remember. I know I've lived in several states where they were strictly not legal on any level whatsoever.
And then
Indiana is one of the more gun-friendly as well as weapon-friendly states in the Midwest.
You should consider a cold brew in your coffee, Daniel. Like I'm doing right now.
And it might turn into that.
No, seriously, because it doesn't. I think it tastes different. Dan was talking about getting his coffee, and I just barely waited for mine to cold pour, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I just keep thinking it's going to water down the taste because of the ice.
Oh no, hold on. See, you're doing it wrong. So we're going to take a little aside here because this is so delicious. Z sent like 2 care packages over the years of like this Hawaiian coffee. So I don't have I have a coffee maker. I don't like using it, so I usually make cowboy coffee where you just pour the grounds into a pot of water, boil it for a while, and whenever you're done, you just smack that. It'll make most of the grounds go to the bottom, and then you pour it off, and then you just deal with whatever's in there. That's how I usually make coffee, but I just didn't feel like going through all that because it's hot as crap here, and I don't want to have the thing going to make the water hot. So I basically do the same thing. I just pour the grounds into water. I put them in a peanut container and put that in the, so you know what size of container I'm talking about, like what peanuts come in. I pour some coffee in there, pour the rest of the thing up with water, and I leave that in the refrigerator for a while, and that's what does the brewing. So very much like sun tea or whatever they call that, iced tea, where you make it in the refrigerator like that, where you just put the bags in water. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yep.
That will make iced tea, or that will make, in this case, coffee. So now I've got a peanut container full of water and coffee grounds. So then I just take a cup or whatever I'm going to drink out of, put a coffee filter over the mouth of that, and then pour my mixture in the refrigerator into there. That collects all the coffee grounds, and what's left is the most excellent thing I've ever tasted because it never got boiled. It never got heated and lost all of its essential oils or whatever it is. I think that's the concept behind it. Because what I'm tasting in the first cup for sure, so I put my filter in the thing, and then I pour that cold brewed coffee through it, and it doesn't take very long. It takes like a moment or two. I'm cheap, so I use the filters over and over, so it took me a little while this time because the filter was clogged. But anyway, that first time you pour it through there, you can either drink that straight, which is just like drinking pure coffee out of the thing, or put ice in it, or put a little bit of water in it. But that first sip is just got so much a better flavor than when I make it hot that I'm never going back to hot. In fact, I would rather make it this way, I think, and then warm it up, because I think you'd lose less of them flavor
oils and
the good bits.
So let me know if I'm crazy out there. I'm sure there's people that are way more into coffee. I did spend a few years. It's been years. I spent some time when I quit having a real job and started getting into computers. I was a barista for Starbucks, so I had to go to their official class and stuff. So it's not like I know about coffee, but for a while I got paid to learn about coffee, and I've forgotten most of it. But from what I remember, this tastes a lot more interesting than the same stuff. Like the same bag of coffee Z sends me when I make it hot, it tastes different. It doesn't have this kick. Anyway, and that when I'm going on and on about it, it tastes like chocolate. It feels like I'm drinking cold hot chocolate or something because the flavor is so much different. Anyway, well,
I would like to add though that the manner in which you make your coffee has no bearing on whether you're actually crazy or not. Just an observation, okay? One is irrespective of the other, in my opinion.
Well, there was something said in the Gun Channel's comments.
Yeah, no, I'm down for trying it.
No, saying it. Somebody proved themselves crazy. Moon's out there saying he hates ice cream, or he said, I hate coffee ice cream. So he said first iced coffee, which, okay, you're allowed to not like iced coffee.
Well, plus he lives in cold weather, too.
Just goes on the tail by saying, I hate coffee ice cream. So I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to just incite.
Never really been a huge fan of coffee ice cream, but I've had it a few times. But as far as hot coffee, cold coffee, I don't even drink coffee, but I love the smell of coffee. So I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle of eh. I'm glad everybody else enjoys it, and again, I love the smell.
Yeah, the way that you describe it, G, is something that I'd definitely be willing to try. But as far as iced coffee, I would agree with Moon. As far as not my thing.
Yeah, in fact, I don't know. I didn't mind it, but I only like it from Starbucks, where they make it totally gross first and then water it down, and then it tastes better again. So I'm with. I don't like necessarily every iced coffee I've come across either. But that's why I keep singing the praises of this stuff, and I'm trying to get another free bag of coffee after Zeke's. I'm almost out. But yeah, it's like drinking chocolate. It's really, really neat. I kind of look forward to it.
We can work on that.
All right, so I guess we should also mention that this is our first day on the new YouTube channel, so we're over at Daily Gun Show at...
And I like somebody, I think it was Sean Callanan, already commented that we have the new car smell over there.
Exactly.
And that's pretty cool.
I think I was going to go to Facebook and click it over there, because I didn't do that before. Sorry for the distraction here. I'm going to take, since we've totally destroyed the show anyway, we're waiting for it. We got the Gun Show Loophole tire patch samples in last night too, so I posted those on Facebook and on gun channels for people that want to check them out. I think I also made an update over at the, what's it called? The actual...
Indiegogo?
Yeah, and those are still available even though it's over. So anybody that's interested, feel free to jump in, grab them. Obviously, the funds go to keeping us on the road. And, now, since we paid for gas, we're just looking to be in the life of luxury. I don't want to have to, hire a driver.
You just get to making them damn patches, mister.
A lot of caviar every evening.
Patches! Patches, patches, patches! Patches? We don't need no stinking patches. Yes, we do need patches.
And then did I talk about live that I had my first consultation or whatever with my own YouTube?
Well, we knew you were having the meeting. I never heard the results of said meeting.
I don't know if I've talked about it live, but one of the things we do on the daily show is try to encourage people to do their own create content or encourage them to do it. So, and we'll offer behind the scenes whenever possible. So I've been doing YouTube for a while, and I'm up to, I think, 147,000 subs or something like that. And I kind of stagnated after about 100, so I don't even know how long it's taking me to get to the 140 level. I kind of quit when we were at the 100 level because it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. So we're doing the tour, so we're going to be using the YouTube channel, and I want to be as effective for the people that I'm going to be checking out. If we're going to be checking out gun shops all the time, we're going to get a little bit out of that because we're going to enjoy them here on the Daily Gun Show. We're going to be posting videos about it, so other people hopefully enjoy, seeing those shops. And I want to do something for those shops. Easiest thing for me to do is make my YouTube channel work better so that when I post those videos, the most amount of eyeballs as possible find out about that shop and the whole, concept is accomplished. So kind of thinking about trying to soup it up, and coincidentally or whatever, I logged in the other day, a while ago now, to my Gun Website's YouTube channel, and we noticed that there was a banner on there. It said, hey, blah, blah, blah. And you get banners and ads and spam all over the place all the time when you have a YouTube channel. And I suppose as it gets larger, then there's potentially more of that. I really don't know. But at least I don't pay that much attention. But this was from YouTube. This was an actual inside a YouTube announcement. So anyway, long story short, they invited me to do a thing. Even though I was invited, I had to then get accepted or whatever. So I don't know if it's just a waiting list or if you have to do something or have shown something or have some range of stats. I'm still not totally sure. But anyway, I had my first meeting with a YouTube representative yesterday over the phone for about 45 minutes or so. And it was awesome. So I learned a lot of stuff right from YouTube. So things that we'll be able to implement immediately. The long and short of it is when you're building content on YouTube, the YouTube Skynet, the YouTube brain, the YouTube engines, the logarithms, whatever you want to call, however you want to interpret what YouTube does for the world, what they do for the internet. In addition to being a search engine, they definitely, well, I don't say they created metrics or anything, but they took metrics to a whole nother level. They have computers that are able to watch what their viewers do at a whole different level. So being able to talk to somebody who knows that more detail than any of us ever would because they're in-house, knowing about those details and then specifically how those details relate to something like the creative person who's building content on a channel was super valuable. So most of my questions were stupid, selfish stuff like how bad I ruined our channel by going to a networks. What do they call those things? The creator networks or whatever they were. I did that for a horrible mistake for a little while, and also trying to figure out what determines, since they give us so many metrics, what metrics are the best or which ones to watch. And long story short is they'd like to see duration. So the more time we entertain people, the happier YouTube is. So if we want to have successful interaction with YouTube as anyone, and not just us, anybody who's using YouTube as a content creator, having the eyeballs there is what they cherish. So that tells us a lot, and it'll let us focus a bit on how we do our content. And then now that I've got this opportunity, we'll be able to evaluate changes and how to use the metrics to determine if a test was successful or not. And I don't know if this is going to apply to everybody, because this is a lot of people look at the YouTube and the time spent on it as a balance, and it needs to create a certain amount of income in order to be worth it. And I guess I'll discourage anyone. It's not quite a set thing, at least in the guns, because of the way the monetization is. You can't just say, I'm going to spend X amount of time on YouTube, I'm going to create such and such content in that amount of time, so I can expect to receive this much revenue from that much efforts and that much work. It's not quite the same with guns, and although we want to make we want to help people as much as possible to create content on the web, we're not here as a bunch of independent, non-paid technical consultants as much as somebody who's available as tech support for a bunch of people who are doing this independently and don't have the resources to pay for actual consulting. So anyway, hopefully that was worth knowing to some people, and if you're interested in knowing more about that, I don't want to completely geek out on that end of it, although I'm willing to. So we don't need to capitalize time on this show. We do spend time on Mondays talking about technical stuff. So if you give us some feedback to dailygunshow@gmail.com, if we get enough feedback, we'll definitely cover it here on the show. Or stay tuned to either I Hate Guns podcasts or Gun Channels University podcasts, where we'll talk specifically about some of the stuff I learned, and then over time I can evaluate some of the stuff that they suggested, like I say, straight from YouTube. Anyway, sorry, we got way off topic there. We're halfway into the show. Did we start right on time, or did we start a little bit late too, huh? You gotta blame the 80s, because it's so dang fascinating.
Just a couple minutes. We're doing just fine, man.
I feel like I literally just woke up and started this thing.
Well, see, you woke up, you drank some of that coffee, and now you're all spun up. That's what's going on.
I've only had like 2 sips. I'm just sitting here gabbing, so I haven't even had a chance to sip on it. So, where the hell are we at? Why don't we just jump in?
First section.
Said Matt the link. Go ahead, Daniel.
I was just going to say, first section, as far as where we're at. CCW, double action, single action.
Which, can someone, okay, I have a revolver. That's single action, double action, so what's the difference? What are we talking about here when we say double action, single action, please?
So do you mean with the DA in the front instead of single action in the front? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean double action, single action versus one or the other?
Well, I guess what are we saying when we say double action, single action?
Well, it was completely written wrong, so we probably took that straight off of someplace. But yeah, it's normally written SADA. So
okay, so that I do have some understanding of that then.
So single action, double action, we're talking operation of the mechanics of the action of a handgun usually is what we're talking about. So you've got your derringers and your muskets and stuff that are stuff them through the front. Then you get revolvers black powder revolvers that you stuff through the front. And I think is when so you come up with your revolver, so that has more than one chamber in the firearm. So once there's more than one chamber, you get your single barrels and then your double barrels. So now you got 2 chambers, but there's nothing to do. So then, there's only the 2 chambers, so there's 2 barrels. Nobody's fighting for it. Once you got more chambers than barrels, though, now you have to have some way to either move the barrel or move the chambers. They figured out if you put the chambers in a circle, you can move the chambers pretty easily, pretty compact. Are you saying that Colt came up with that, Bob? No. Somebody else came up with that, I think. So, now they're talking, okay, we got to move those chambers around into the fresh barrel there. How do we do that? So the original ones were single action, meaning you pulled the hammer back, and then the trigger did one thing. It was single action. Its job was to drop the hammer, and that's cowboy guns and most of the black powder stuff. And then somebody along the way figured out that, well, if you put a little bit more mechanical stuff in there, as you're pulling the trigger, it can do 2 things. It can both cycle the cylinder to bring your next chamber up into line with the barrel, and it can also drop the hammer. So that's double action. It can do 2 things. So that's where it came from revolvers. But then when you start building pistols, Browning created pistols, or did he create pistols? Some Nazi probably did. But then Browning came along and made them all perfect. So when he did it, he came up with the 1911, which is our single action. It's a magazine-fed semi-auto, but each time you pull the trigger, it's doing one job. It's dropping the hammer. So single action. Bunch of 9mm shooters, weak-wristed, don't have a lot of thumb muscles. They're just really tired all the time. Well, they got upset that you had to pull that hammer or back, in order to pull the trigger. That was too much work for them. So I think a lot of them petitioned and asked a bunch of people in Europe to come up with some metric way of doing it. And then they came up with double action pistols. And now you get back to the trigger being able to pull the hammer or striker back and then drop it. So now you've got guns that can, like a Glock, you can pull it out of your pocket and pull the trigger Glock's a poor example technically because it's already half strike cocked or whatever the hell, but
But like
basically,
a CZ,
oh,
perhaps.
there you go. So you can pull the gun, have it hammer down on a loaded chamber. The trigger will both pull the hammer back and then drop it. And then that would be a double action, a true double action pistol. So now we've got double action and single action pistols and double action and single action revolvers. And at some point, somebody was like, hey, you know what would be way more confusing, and nobody even thought about doing it a different way? Let's make it so that your first shot is double action, but then every subsequent shot will be like a hair trigger. Let's make every other shot single. And then a bunch of Europeans were like, oh shit, that sounds awesome. We don't understand guns. We don't really like them that much. So let's make it more awkward and difficult for the operator. And that's where you come up with single action, double action, which is like all your Ruger pistols, a lot of your Smiths, a whole bunch of revolvers are like that. Some people love that. They think it's super awesome because you can just get the gun into operation. You can carry it fairly safely, on a live round in the chamber with the hammered up or down or whatever. And because you've got this awesome European style gun, you can just start pulling the trigger. And then if you've got to make that super critical 1,000-yard shot, headshot, sniper shot, now you're already in single action mode, so you're good to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't like it, so that's the story of it in a pretty objective way, I think. That brings us to our debate. It should still even exist, single action, double action. And
Should or should not?
Should it even exist? It has to validate its own existence, right? And if that's appropriate for CCW.
I mean, the assumption of that action is that your first shot does not need to be extremely accurate.
I disagree with that, but that's just an observation. I don't think that it's to be less accurate whatsoever. I think it's to make up for one of the shortcomings, dare I say, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, of the 1911, is that if you didn't have your hammer back, you can't even fire the freaking gun. So to me, it's to cover the shortcoming of the actual single action. So that's my opinion of that.
Yeah, but the proper way to carry a 1911, or for that matter, a Browning high power, is to carry it cocked and locked. And then it's just ready to go with a flick of a safety.
Yep, until that safety breaks.
Right.
Or doesn't,
but then
or
you're
doesn't
carrying
unengage.
it in single action
Browning
mode.
designs, they're not going to break.
Oh,
Oh.
yep, of course, I forgot. Especially the Canadian ones.
Well,
But you're carrying it in single action mode, which is inherently more accurate, which goes back to what I said.
yeah, on that, it's just ready to go.
So by that logic, every light trigger pull is then a more accurate gun. Is that what you're saying, Dano?
Well, it's not necessarily more. It's only as accurate as the user is capable of performing.
So with the double action only of a Glock pistol, am I not as accurate with that as I am going to be with a lighter trigger?
Well, there's more factors than just the action type.
I just Jedi minded you into that, by the way.
Yes, and that's why I gave the answer I gave.
Thank you. So, are we asking about double action, single action? Does anybody in here have double action, single action?
Not anymore. I mean, I own them, but I would never carry one.
I mean,
Okay, and that is how it. Yes, it is a CCW question.
I started out
Yes.
carrying one at H&K US. Thought it was the bee's knees because it was an expensive gun, but then actually using it clears up all those incorrect perceptions or assumptions.
Well, and let's be real. That's a large and I don't want to call it heavy, but it's not light.
No, it's not.
Pistol.
It's plastic. I mean, it's heavy when it's loaded because the 45 is a man's round, and there's like 11 of them in there or something.
At least, yeah.
Well, we only had 10 round mags. But anyway, let's see. On that one, you have ambidextrous. I also thought that was awesome when I was a novice because I thought, oh yeah, why wouldn't it be better to have all duplicate levers everywhere? And it's neat for just at the range or if you want to impress people with how awesome you can use both hands or something. But
it's one more hand grabbing onto something as you're trying to skin that smoke wagon.
Well, I just think of it as training scars to go around learning a bunch of left-handed stuff that's specific to a specific make or
Okay.
model usually, and then basically hinder yourself if you in a skirmish have to pick up something else. So I'm a little bit more Jeet Kune Do in the philosophy of like learn it all, know what you like, but then not
Be able to utilize any and all
everything.
at any time. Why limit yourself?
Yeah, and the theories behind the single action, double action are sound, I guess, but I just think they're for people that like to think strategy more than uh, practical. That makes sense. Spending their time theorizing on the extreme examples when we're talking about a situation that we have no control over. Hopefully, never happen to us. Statistically, it'll never happen to us. Having to use a lethal force.
Well, I do remember that just as within the past few months or this year, we have definitely all been in a chat at the same time when we discussed the Canic or Chanic or Canik, whatever you call it, single action that we may have renamed what were we calling it? Like the Death Stroke or something like that? It will get you killed because if you have the hammer down on that, basically it's a dead trigger. So, um, I don't know. I think that the double action, single action is a good thing. I can also understand the benefit though of the double action only. I mean, is a totally different subject.
Well, that would be the opposite. So you wouldn't go single action anymore unless you're just trying to prove something or be belligerent. There's no reason to go to single action really, unless you call striker single. I guess you could almost call it that. But I don't, I would disagree. I don't like them.
I'm going to vote single action, just because I like them better.
Define
And
power isn't single action, so that doesn't.
And cowboy guns are fine. I'd carry
I
one.
mean, my vote is for consistency of trigger type, and when you're changing from your first shot being one thing and your second shot being something else, that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that, like focusing on that, because that's, I guess, what I've been alluding to, but I don't think I actually said it, and that's the problem that I see with the double action, single action is your first pull, the one, you're in a situation that's changing your freaking life and your life of your whole family and all your descendants. Literally, some bad guy is pushing that on you. You have to make this decision. He's forcing you, or she's forcing you to have to pull your firearm, right? So in that kind of situation, you've got a long, deliberate trigger pull, saving your life, or you're acting in a moment more than likely, and then you have to gather the wherewithal to then, get the clarity to then remember that there's going to be a hair trigger on your gun, the gun that just took all your effort under all your, the stress and all the influences, the physical situation you're going to be in, the flow of adrenaline and all that kind of stuff, where you go from gloves to mittens, as say. So in that situation, you want to give yourself the task of also remembering you're about to go from the strongest trigger pull you've ever had on a gun in your hand to the lightest, and you're going to do that probably under the scrutiny of at least bystanders with their cell phones, if not all the surveillance cameras and stuff. And since we are always responsible for every projectile that comes out of our muzzle, I don't want to give myself a situation. I would never impose that scenario on someone who I love or cared for to have to make that kind of deliberation, that kind of switch in their mind at that time, where you have an option like a Glock with 34 parts, literally built from the ground up to just be efficient by a guy who wasn't a gun designer but just clever. It's proven itself over decades, and it's much safer than any of these double action, single actions that were invented back in the day as like a way to make pistols more like revolvers for 9mm shooters. But you have an option of a solid working, reliable, proven system, and then all the copies of it now, and then you're going to go back and do something just for these crazy ideas that maybe you're going to have to take a headshot at 1,000 yards sometime in the future, maybe. I'm definitely opposed to it. I know that if Yankee was in here, we'd go back and forth because he's all about
with the seat cover, take the shot on the shooter and all that kind of stuff.
And more than just being indifferent, he's all about it. He thinks it's necessary to have those characteristics of the thing, and usually we end up well, we've never agreed on any part of that. So we were going to have Matt on today. Sent him an email. He doesn't disagree with me, but he's been in enough conversations with Yankee. He could probably play that role. But maybe was
I would like to say that how we were talking about at the range or whatever earlier. Now, as far as handguns, I have two so far, right? So I have a double action, single action revolver, and I have a Glock. Well, I can tell you that when I'm at the range, I don't know whether it's just for consistency or whatever, but I don't hardly ever go single action, mostly because it alters my grip when I'm trying to shoot, and I don't like that. So for me, I prefer to shoot, even though I have the option of single action, I prefer to shoot a double action because in my mind, if it's ever needed for anything other than putting holes in paper, um, in my mind, that's the way it's going to end up going. Is there's not going to be this cocking the hammer and all that jazz type of thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I need to utilize this in this instant.
And then the way that you're describing it, you would have consistency then.
Right, right. And of course, with the Glock, like G and you just said, it's like it's going to be the same every time. So, I guess asking about it earlier, I mean, I understand how nice the single action trigger pull is on that revolver. I'm not going to try and discount that either because, let me tell you, it's pretty smooth. It's sweet. It's all of those things wrapped up in one. But as far as familiarity of use, I would prefer double action.
Okay.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all wrong. Single action is best.
Well, I think we wrapped it up pretty good.
No,
Anything
I mean,
else
just because
someone got to put in?
Bob apparently comes from the previous 2 centuries ago, and that's okay too because, you know, we got to have that older generation. You know, the octogenarians and older need to be represented with their vote as well.
Well, you know, Bob likes hunting for flintlock, so we'll just leave him in the field searching for it. But in the meantime, I think we've done a pretty good job on this topic.
Yeah, not too bad.
So, G, are you there? Okay.
Sorry, I've been distracted. I'm trying to see if I could get a YouTube stream going from the other channel to let people know we're over here, but didn't know.
Okay.
I had it set up to the Facebook one, and I can't find the YouTube keys and stuff quick enough.
Okay. Where would you like to pick up next?
It's just
Member of the day.
What, Bob?
I say member of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to break into the next segment of the show, and between the first and second segment, we go out and we feature a member over at Gun Channels. As I mentioned before, Gun Channels is another website. It's a website we built a while back. It's a community focused on firearms. It's membership driven. It's maintained by the members. We're all members there. We have a good time doing the various things that are over there, and since you joined it as a member and we're affiliated with the Gun Channels, we like to feature a member every day. So this week, I think I just picked, as we were kind of scheduling the show, I just picked 5 people that were in the chat, and to get an assortment of, you know, not necessarily new or old or long time or current chatters or anything. So without any further ado, I'm trying to find the channel name because his username is Carl, so it's not that specific, but his profile link is in the description there. His profile is a user, but then that's his URL. That's how you find him over on Gun Channels. Like I said, there's a link there. But Carl is one of the members who hangs out in the chat, and I guess I'm trying to remember how often. I believe I've seen comments come in from him, though. I don't know if he's in there now. I guess I'd go look.
I do not believe so.
So that you know, hasn't been around long enough, or at least been in the chats enough, or posted enough that I've seen any actual what do I say, like tendencies or you know, preferences. But that's what Gun Channel is all about. We've got something. Few thousand members. I think we hover around 4,000 membership. You know, between people that come on and people that leave, we hover right around 4,000. Probably a couple of hundred of people are active, and then a couple of dozen are daily active daily. So Carl's probably in that section there of people that use the site but don't interact necessarily daily. But I guess he's a good example of this new wave that this last couple of months we've seen a lot of new people jumping in and kind of maybe doing the fast track. Maybe we're building something differently or just inviting them in differently, but it seems like a lot more people are putting their toe in the water and then jumping right into the live chats. And we're seeing we see patterns, I guess, in the live lobbies that Pink does, and so they're sort of just open rooms for 8 hours from the afternoon, at least evening here for me, imagine later evening on the East Coast, but then 8 hours gets us up till at least 1 a.m. Pacific time, and because it's such a long show, nobody really can hang out the entire time, so there's kind of like shifts. We'll see the people that jump in now after our show. There's people that start. I think this show worked to get the chat rooms over at Gun Channels jumping a little bit earlier because people tend to leave for this show and see if there's a live thing, and there's that, I guess, first shift of early chatters, probably a lot more East Coast people. Then there's the live shows that'll start up, and some people like the chat the livey chat as an alternative to those shows. Like I don't know if you already mentioned them or not, but the sort of the more consistent evening shows that people put on usually once a week, and so like I said, there's a live lobby during all those live shows, but then after the live shows there's like a whole shift that comes on, a group of people that chats. That's probably one of the larger ones. Then they kind of dwindle off as they go to sleep or whatever, and then we get the late night in, the late shift in, and like I said, it's been an interesting dynamic, and that overall kind of system has been around as long as there's been lobbies consistently. We see shifts like that. Different groups of people that get in and start to chat and whatnot. So anyway, that's part of what the whole concept was when we built the place, and Carl is an example of those people that are using it in that way. So definitely want to encourage people to do it. Welcome you in. Like I say, it's a membership-driven site. It's free to use, so everyone's welcome to check it out and see if it's something you'd be interested in.
I definitely say you never can tell.
It's unprecedented. You're going to have the pop quiz before the second segment of the show?
Well, actually, I tapped it by accident.
Okay, so say that's unprecedented. That doesn't even make us any money. I just got told by YouTube we have to put that stuff at the end of the show.
Oh, at the end of the show. Okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
Quizzes are going to be like the last minutes.
Well, we got the tactical quiz today too, so we can put that at the end.
Oh, that's a good point.
So we doing the pop at the end?
No, we'll do the pop now. We'll do the tactical at the end.
Okay.
Not actually setting.
All right. Well, since I kind of did half a sound effect, there's nothing like going half-assed, so let's give it our best. All right. It's time for the tactical pop quiz.
Pop quiz. So get your books out. Or wait, is this open book?
This is open book.
This is open book. Island Z is going to keep an eye on the YouTube side. I will keep an eye on the Gun Channel side.
That if somebody wins today, they will get the keys to the AV room, and you'll be able to use the Heathkit ham radio all evening if you want.
Excellent.
I'm going to go with what?
Exactly.
Something for people that have seen the cool-ass show that I just seen all last night, and they will understand it, and all the rest of you people will not understand what that means.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
All right, so here's the question. Pay attention, type quickly. In the movie Serpico, what gun is Al Pacino shot in the face with? In the movie Serpico, what gun is Al Pacino shot in the face with?
Wasn't this yesterday's question?
Nope. That was
a different movie question.
What did he buy at the world famous John Jovino's gun shop in New York City?
Yeah, I feel like everybody says this or people say this almost every day, but I feel like you should figure out a way to incorporate pop quiz hot shot, because what the hell?
Okay,
boom, winner.
We have winner.
I like that. No, I'm down with that. I like the whatever you just said.
Pop quiz hot shot.
Yes.
Okay. Who did you have a winner? Z?
No, you do.
Oh, okay.
Where do we got a winner?
Yes, we have Sean Connery once again.
And I so thought it was going to be Matt, because
and
Matt
the
got
answer
the
for those of you out there for today's pop quiz is Al Pacino got shot in the face with a Colt Woodsman.
Tiny little 22 gun.
So
That's why he survived it.
yes.
Yeah.
So Sean Connery or whoever he hands it off to, go to dailygunshow.com/popquiz to claim your prize.
And
I'll
you
put that-
are the hot shot of the day.
There you go. See,
Yeah, I
now,
did
now,
that.
now I'm gonna have to. It's gonna take me a week to remember that.
I'll help you, Dano.
What
The
movie
Daily
is that
Hot
from?
Shot?
Or should that be a pop quiz question? I know the thing I'm saying. I've been saying it freaking ever since that movie came out. But I just can't remember what the hell movie it was now.
Oh, pop quiz, hot shot. Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I'm not going to say it in case we do end up using it as a question.
Yeah, let's throw it in there. Might as well. Let's see.
Yeah, Ponnery slaying it out there on the pop quiz.
Yeah, he's turning out to be quite the subject matter expert.
Bit of a savant.
Oh, lame. I can't drop links in my own chat because I'm on with a different account. All right. Well,
Aww.
somebody on the YouTube, on the Gunshot side won anyway, right? So Dan,
No.
if you put the, oh, it was on the YouTube side that won?
No, Gun Channel side one.
No, Sean Connery one on the
So,
gun channels.
If you drop the rest of the link in there, the http:// part, it'll turn into a working link on Gun Channel. So you keep dropping it as a dead link and it stays dead. But like I did right
Okay.
above, just add that little piece to the front. So I usually just go to the web page and highlight the URL and drop it, and you don't have to do anything. You just copy and paste.
I mean, I can copy and paste a link like I typed into Chrome, and it automatically finds it. But
Well,
I
that's
suppose
why
it
I'm
depends on
explaining
what.
it, because you consistently drop it like that. That's why I'm just telling you. It can make it a little easier if you just drop the HTTP in front of there. Okay, so we'll keep going. So that was the break between the first and second segment. Now we're talking about the second segment of the show. I was trying to milk it so that Matt could show up, but I guess we're going to not have Matt around. Somehow we'll have to wing it and talk about the gun movies of the 1990s. Did they even make gun movies in the 90s?
I'm gonna go yes.
You know,
Right. I opened up that Google, which if you go to Google and type in something like movie, you can't say gun movies because they're stupid, but if you type in movies of the 1990s, you'll get this like easy to read, what do you call it, slider thingy of all kinds of movies, and I went through it, kind of getting prepared for today. And I didn't see it. I mean, the 80s was hands down the best decade for movies with guns in them that ever existed. That's everybody
won't
agrees
disagree
with
with
that.
that.
But the 90s, you would think, because they're a decade right next to it, would be good. But I mean,
The Matrix, Saving Private Ryan, The Mummy, Forrest Gump, The Fifth Element.
good. Some of those I'll give you for sure. Fifth Element, is that a gun movie?
Are you kidding me? The dude's an arms dealer. There's totally guns all over that
All
movie.
right, there are guns. in it.
Starship Troopers.
Oh,
Men
Starship
in Black
Troopers.
technically counts as a gun movie. And this is, I'm just on the small list here. Pulp Fiction, I count as a gun movie. Tombstone, which then by default also means Wyatt Earp, but I like Tombstone better.
The Fugitive.
Not a sort of a gun movie.
I mean,
Sorta.
in it, but it's not featured. Dances with Wolves.
Oh, any type of western like that, I'm counting. Yep.
I just watched that the other day because I have not seen it in a while. I don't know if we talked about it or something, or anyway, I saw it there. It's like 3 hours long, right? It took forever to watch it,
Yep.
but it's pretty good. I didn't mind it, and definitely guns in it.
Just to answer Dot's question, Die Hard was in the 80s. Goodfellas was 1990. I definitely count that as a gun movie. That's one of my favorites. Silence of the Lambs, I don't know if I'd count that as a gun movie, even though there's guns in it.
No.
We definitely said Starship Troopers, and there's guns all over that one. That one, I love that movie.
And the guns are like almost a character in that one. I mean, they're almost that important.
Do you count The Professional?
Yeah.
As okay, so that one was 1994. I find that to be. I like that one.
12 Monkeys, is that a gun movie?
I don't think there was enough in it to
Like, they're not allowed to call it a gun movie just because there's a gun in it, right?
I would agree.
Has to
Like
somehow
Seven.
be an element of the
I don't know if I
plot.
count Seven as a gun movie, even
No.
though they're both cops, you know. And that,
Plus, if it's like a, I don't know, but that movie is supposed to be like a shocker or like
Yes.
a horror or something.
Yes.
I think that for me personally, I don't want to recommend movies like that to people that are planning to go out and watch a gun movie with their kid or something, and then it's some kind of weird movie that gets everybody all agitated. And
You mean
push
like, say, Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society?
well, no, those are
Those
like
those those
those
are
are,
technically gun movies, sorta.
but those are like more like cops and robber type movies where the guns play a role. I'm saying, I guess, when it's like Friday the 13th and there's a gun in it, I'm not going to call that a gun movie. So I'm
Okay.
not going to send somebody to watch a shocker thriller movie when they were expecting a gun movie, unless it's a shocker movie all about guns or something.
Now, where do you put The Mummy then? Because I put The Mummy definitely as a gun
Sure.
movie.
That's just pure adventure, and the guns are like every bit as important as well, it's like one of the more important props because it's the little roll of
Well,
guns in the first one, right?
so, well, what about Down Periscope? Doesn't that qualify as a gun movie?
Well, no, I don't know why people
No,
keep putting that
I'm
in.
gonna go with no
It
on
is a
that.
good movie, I guess, but it's like a comedy. I mean, was there even guns in it?
It ain't even that good of a
I mean,
movie. I wouldn't even. Here's the
submarines.
thing. I'm not even recommending that as a movie, let alone as a gun
Well,
movie.
I understand that, but submarines are a weapons platform, much like an airplane, much like the frame of a gun.
I think we say gun, we don't say like the Guns of Navarone or some like cannon movie. We're talking small arms, something you can hold and use as an individual, not something that's crew served. Or in that case, like you need a fleet of individuals and a bunch of money to run it. Oh, let me take a completely different sidetrack. You know how Facebook is. I seen something on Facebook the other day. It was pretty cool. It's called the most expensive planes in the Air Force, and it went through and ranked how many thousands of dollars it costs per hour to run our most expensive planes. Super interesting. I think I linked it around because it was so interesting.
Do you
So,
hate movies of the '90s that much?
sorry, I just thought it was that interesting. I wanted to throw it in that kind of make a place I could jam it in there. But
All
anyways,
right, like Reservoir Dogs. I count that as a gun movie. There's definitely hardcore gun play in that, even though it's a drama.
robbers. But I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen it in a while. Is like a gun an element of it?
They all have guns. They all shoot each other.
So,
And the
just
one guy is named after his gun or something, right?
just
That
from
I
my
don't
own
know.
personal understanding. So who picks out the gun movie of the for each episode here? I know I don't.
Gun movie of the day. We stopped having anybody pick those a long time ago. I originally started that concept by quitting Netflix, and before I left Netflix, I went to the user, whatever it's called, profile, or my account info, and I pulled the list of all the movies I'd ever seen on Netflix. And then I put that in a spreadsheet, and then I had the schedule for the show there, and I just literally went down in reverse order, I think, and put every movie in there that had guns in it that was worth the shit. And then Bob and I would talk about them just to remind people, because for me it was literally, I was like, wow, I don't even remember seeing some of these movies, right? I've seen them because they're on Netflix. I guess that's not true. Somebody else might have watched them. So the Netflix account watched them. Anyway, that's how it started out, and that got us through a few months probably of these daily shows. But then at some point, I was out of movies, and Bob's only seen like 5 movies because he's in Canada. So
Big fan of movies.
so we would just ask the gun channels chat whenever we were scheduling. So right now it's just an accumulation of movies that are suggested to us. So I guess that's a good point to offer the invitation. If anybody wants to include a list of movies that you think are awesome, send us a list of movies. You can send them to thedailygunshow@gmail.com. We will read them and put them into the list. And right now we're doing the entertainment section where we're specifically talking about gun movies from an entire decade. But I think what Dan was talking about is every single day on the Daily Gun Show here, we'll mention a movie that's worth watching or that you might have seen in a while, just to kind of give people a little extra something from the show. And really, there's no other way I can think of. If we sat down like this and had a talk about movies of the '90s, it would require somebody to be watching this show in this 20-minute segment or whatever, and then take some notes or something, remember all that. Where I figure when we do it in the daily show and we put them in our show notes and everything, we're actually providing a bit of a service, because I know I'll sit there and go, you know what, I'm sick of watching the like 13 movies I like to watch over and over. I want to see something new, and I don't want to have to determine from all the different crap that's on Netflix or Amazon what might be good. So I figured we can look back at our past shows, get a couple of ideas from our daily reminders, and we're giving somebody, some cherished free time to enjoy, and hopefully watching a decent movie and not something stupid, or something that they've seen before that they haven't seen in a while. Like Dances with Wolves, I think is perfect. A lot of people have seen it, may or may not have loved it, right, when you saw it, because it was 3 hours, and who knows what kind of situation you're in watching a 3-hour movie. But decade later or something, and you're Now you've got a different appreciation for single action guns. You talk to Bob a lot. You like cowboy guns now. Be a whole different experience watching it, especially when you know it's going to be 3 hours and you can watch it on like a Netflix or Amazon. I think I watched it on Amazon. So that lends itself to watch 20 minutes of it, leave it, watch an hour of it, leave it, watch 10 minutes of it, leave it, and then watch the end.
Now I'm all fired up to talk about movies of the 90s. We're doing anything but talking about movies of the 90s. What's going on here?
I picked Dances
Is
with
this a
Wolves.
bait and switch?
All right, Jurassic Park. That's
No.
Yeah.
That is not a good movie. What are you talking about?
Spaz 12? The Spaz 12 doesn't get enough film time as it is.
Okay.
Spaz 12 was made famous by that movie.
I won't disagree with that. That is an accurate. Like Terminator 2.
Sticking with shotguns. Yeah, that turned that stupid shotgun that nobody ever wanted because it's dumb into like the most wanted shotgun.
The lever action that jams literally all the time, whether it's on the loading or unloading. Yes.
Well, here's the sure way to make it screw up. Try to do what Arnold Schwarzenegger does with it on the motorcycle. So,
where he clicks it forward like that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, he spins it around and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah,
but when in a box with roses, it would probably screw it up too.
Yes, I'm gonna be inclined to agree with you on that. Somebody else mentioned out there the Jackal. Do you remember that one? That was Bruce Willis was the bad guy. He's gonna have to try and assassinate somebody, and he ended up loading up like the remote-controlled like machine gun out of the back of his vehicle, if you remember. I don't know if I count that. Assassins, which was what's his name? Desperado guy. And Stallone. What's his name? He was married to Melanie Griffith. Yeah, Antonio Banderas. I definitely count that as a gun movie because that was definitely one of the central focuses. Now, like movies like Waterworld, though, I mean, there were guns all over it, but would I call that a gun movie? Probably not.
Because that's another super long Costner movie, right? But I agree with you that it's more about the water and the future and blah, 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 where even though Dances with Wolves ain't about guns, they're in it enough and they're legit real guns that, you know the other problem with Waterworld? They're trying to be anti-gun, right? Like, they don't allow people to have guns, so it's basically like California Island in the future.
Well, another movie that was from the 90s that we had on the actual day, movie of the day was Heat. And that's probably one of the best gun movies of the 90s, right in the middle.
Were you saying, Bob?
Yeah, I'm just saying about Waterworld, though. You have to. I count any movie that's got a quad 50 as a gun movie because quad 50s are just badass.
And they also took the concept that in the future, when everything floods and we're literally living on the water, we're still going to have firearms, so we're still going to oil them and maintain them, and they're still going to be as effective as they are. So I guess in that respect, it kind of shows that guns and the concept of firearms, especially belt-fed quads like Bob's talking about, stand the test of time no matter what alternate future you see coming.
Now, how about From Dusk Till Dawn? I definitely count that as a gun movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's guns wide all the way through that movie.
What is that one? Is that the whorehouse one?
Well, it's not a whorehouse. It's the bar and the vampires and Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Keitel. They go to Mexico to the titty twister and all this, that, and the other thing. But there's guns wide on that one.
I'll give it as a gun movie, but I'm not a fan of that one as much.
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
Gun, and as a gun guy, I just don't like it when complete non-gun people come over to you and go, "Oh, remember in that one movie how he has a belt buckle that's a gun?"
Yes, and then you tell him that was an ineffective weapon. Sex Machine, if I remember, that was the dude's name on that one. Let's see, what else do we got here?
But any part of that is completely overbalanced and completely outweighed, I should say, by Selma Hayek being awesome in that movie.
I tell you what, see, now I know you said you didn't really care for that movie. When we're talking movies like that, that one will always get a reference from me and a thumbs up and a yes, you should watch it. That one will always get that from me on that movie.
That movie will get the upright reaction from a lot of people, I think.
Now, also the 90s began the Guy Ritchie movies from Great Britain. And I don't normally want to talk about the British so much when we're free here in America, but Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels literally is about a shotgun. I mean, so I hate to say it, that's a gun movie.
A pair of shotguns, wasn't it?
I think so.
Like a pair of Purdy's or something.
Yeah, they're collectors, yada yada yada, but all the stuff that goes along with it.
Well, what about Schindler's List? I see that on the list of movies.
Oh, I mean, I guess if you count all the Nazi stuff, but I don't know.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I think I've read the audio, or I had the audio, listened to the audiobook more than I've seen the show or the movie. But aren't they in an ammunition factory at some point?
They
No,
could
really?
be, man. I only made it through the beginning of that, and I turned it off. Like, I don't like spending my time on that.
Yeah, so that's one of those that I would say I would hesitate to just call it a gun movie and leave it at that. Like, that's a gun movie. No, that's a horribly sad, true to life, like trying to show the angst of war or whatever that would be called, right? And
Where do you feel about True Romance? That's the one with Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper.
oh, wait a minute, is that one of those crime spree movies?
No, that was sorta. I mean, the one you're thinking of, I think, is Natural Born Killers,
But there was a bunch that were kind
which
of.
was a whole lot of guns. There was California, which was like True Romance, and then there was whatever one I had just said.
It was more like
Natural Born Killers, which was totally different from the two of them.
But it was more like the guy and the girl are going across the country just doing whatever the fuck they want, and they have a gun.
There's some gunplay in it, yes.
They
That's
all
why I
come-
was asking.
I didn't understand those movies, so. I mean, I remember when they were coming out, they were groundbreaking and different and pushing it.
And they were different for sure.
But I don't understand the reason for pushing in that direction, I guess. And back then, I didn't care so much. I probably was looking at the chicks more than the guns, honestly. But
Entirely
I don't
possible.
think I've ever gone back and watched any of those movies. Natural Born Killers, if I remember correctly, like it's weird. I don't want to watch that one again. I don't think. And the others just didn't. appeal
That
to me.
one is more of a joke now to me than it ever was when I watched it. And I'm pretty sure I own that one. Woody Harrelson and all that kind of stuff. I definitely find it to be entertaining when I look at it from the comedy aspect. And there's definitely enough play in that one where I would probably consider that one. Night Strike out there has got Universal Soldier. Mr. Knives says True Lies. Somebody also asked about the Tremors movies, which
Tony got Total Recall in there. That's a good-
man, it's a good movie. I definitely recommend it. But is it? I guess it's a gun movie. I guess.
Well, okay, that's true. And the thing is, I guess I like science fiction, so number one, I've seen most of those, but they also tend to be written by anti-gunners, so to have guns, at least in the story,
Is a miracle.
something we gotta be thankful for. But then, when they don't demonize the gun, then it's
You got to be appreciative
it's
almost.
almost like I give them too much credit, yeah, so...
What about L.A. Confidential? What do you feel about, or Stargate? Either one of those. Lots of
Stargate
guns in
has to-
both.
There's
And I'm
no-
talking the movie, not the show.
Yeah, hands down. There's no way, nobody can deny Stargate. There would even be, I'm pretty sure FN would be out of business if it wasn't for Stargate. So
Nice.
that's a gun movie.
What
it's
about
almost
LA
like
Confidential,
guns
though?
to the space fight,
Yep.
And they brought it to them in a way that you were like, yeah, they're going to take on the space aliens with the guns. It's going to work.
They were Americans.
What was
Just
the
saying.
last one?
LA Confidential, where there is gunfights all over that thing.
I barely remember that one.
Okay, so think of like, what is it, 20s or 1950s LA. And it's like from several different angles, but the one thread goes throughout the movie.
I might not have seen this movie.
It's got Kim Basinger and Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, and a bunch of other people that you would recognize. Kind of about how brutal the LA police force was in the 1950s.
Oh, no, I don't think I've even seen that movie then. So we found one that...
It's worth watching. Unforgiven. There you go. Clearly,
Yeah.
it's a Western. It's a gun movie.
If I can have just a moment, you're listening to the Daily Gun Show. If you have any comments or suggestions, please email us at dailygunshow@gmail.com.
I got Thin Red Lion in here. Has to be a gun movie. It's a war movie, right?
Yeah.
Few Good Men? No.
Yeah, I don't.
Might
Not
have
so
been
much on
in as
that one.
evidence or something. Oh, American Beauty.
Uh,
So
I don't know about that,
that
man.
name another movie with Annette Bening looking fairly. It's her, right? Looking fairly hot. And I only know this one because I did a collection for when I first started doing internet stuff. I had a collection of guns, well, girls with guns in movies, and trying to find hot chicks in movies that had a role with a gun. You don't find a lot of Annette Bening ones. And she's in the car deliberating shooting her husband or something. It's kind of a stupid cerebral comedy, I guess, or whatever, insight or perspective on society or something. It's sort of a comedy, I guess, but it's kind of a movie. I wouldn't call it a gun movie, but I'm just going to hold out with it does have Annette Bening holding a gun, which you don't see.
Escape from L.A. Definitely a gun movie. Dead Presidents definitely a gun. Dead Presidents. I love that movie. That's a good movie. That's a lot of. That's brutal.
Post-Vietnam, like, crime movie, I guess you'd call it. It's worth watching. It's interesting.
Definitely. Let's see what else we got. I mean, there's there's a bazillion movies and all that kind of stuff, but I think we did.
Overall, then if you're gonna say like, I'm going to the pawn shop and I've got a box of '90s movies and I've got a box of '80s movies and I've got a box of other decades, where would you throw the '90s in here? I'm gonna say, not even at the top. Like the '90s was just nothing crucial. Or am I missing something crucial?
Oh man, Basic Instinct. I don't know. I like Dogma. I like
We could go
Dogma.
A to Z of 10 years of movies, and you guys would probably still have two different perspectives.
For sure. I guess
I definitely think the '80s are better than the '90s. Clearly, I mean, The Rock is The Rock a gun movie with the Alcatraz and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's a gun movie.
The Crow. Does The Crow count as a gun movie? There's guns all over that.
It's a shooting in that, yeah.
A gun killed the guy.
Well, that's the reason, yeah. And because of that alone, you have to consider it.
But definitely, whether it's just because the way I grew up or whatever, '80s wins, like hands down, like no ifs, ands, buts, anything. And then it's an argument for 70s, '90s, and 2000s. It's an argument then.
All right, well, we can't probably solve it, I suppose, in one 20-minute segment, but the concept is we've got things like this scheduled throughout our entertainment segment of the show. So we'll do other decades as well as other themes like Navy movies or Army movies and other things like that where we talk about gun movies. But we'll do other entertainment stuff as well. I'm really hoping we get to dig into podcasts. I know Dano's been scooping them up, and I've been really digging, listening to stuff. So we'll do other entertainment topics, but like Dano said, if you have suggestions or ideas for the subjects or the topics that we do, you can email us anytime at dailygunshow@gmail.com and get those suggestions to us. So every day we like to do a couple of things. One of the reasons we started doing the show is to kind of be able to have a format in which to address a lot of little projects I had. I know Bob had a couple, and so we like to incorporate some things every day during the show. And one of those is the gun shop of the day. So again, one of the reasons we started the show in the first place was to encourage people to get out to their local gun shops. Ideally, bring your camera with you, your phone with you, which you already have in your pocket. Ask them if it's okay to take a few pictures, and then share that cool gun shop with the rest of the internet, so people know when they're traveling or if they live anywhere near you about the shop. So with that in mind, this week we're featuring shops here in Tucson, and today we're featuring a little shop, but a cool shop called Thunderstick Trading. It's kind of a mom and pop shop. They've been there ever since I've been. They're definitely hidden out of the way. Bob's been to it. It's a little hard to find. It's next to a barber, and really, unless you're looking for it, you're not going to find it. Some of the best shops are that way.
It was tough. I had to actually park and walk around for a little bit before I could figure out which door it was.
Shaving a haircut 2 bits, or?
Yeah, like your little local barbershop kind of place.
I love those. Those are great too.
Yeah. So Little mom and pop place. There's a lot. There had been historically a lot more single action shooting society stuff going on in Tucson and around Tucson. Now that stuff is more out in Tombstone, and I suspect that the court stuff for that kind of shifted over to Tombstone, which is like an hour or something away. And that stuff is kind of, what do they say? It's only for certain times of the year. The people come for the single action shooting stuff and then they leave because Arizona's kind of difficult to deal with temperature-wise unless you're into it. So we'll only see those for just portions of the year. So I guess it's too much to support a complete shop unless you're a little shop like this one. And it's the kind of shop where you open the door, and the amount of square footage that door takes to open is about, I'm not even exaggerating, like a fifth of the amount of space you have to walk in the whole shop, period. So in other words, if you open the door and you take up the amount of room that the door would take on the floor, there's only 4 other people going to stand in that shop at one time with you. There's not a heck of a lot of room to get past somebody if they're already in the shop and you're just now coming in the shop. So that lends itself to being more of a one-on-one type of place. Because it's small, every square inch of the place is covered with stuff, which is awesome because it's mostly flintlock and.
Now, is that a store that you're going to go there because you want to go talk story with the people, as opposed to, oh, I'm gonna, like you were talking the other day about one of the other competition shops, and that, oh, something new came out, well, I'm gonna go to this shop to check it out. Oh, there was a different ammo that people are talking about, oh, I'm gonna go to that shop to check it out. So is this one of those types of shops, or it's literally I'm just going to go talk story with these folks and maybe check out what they got while I'm there, kind of a thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not, it has no competition. It's not a typical store, what do they call it, like business plan or whatever. They have no competition. They only work with flintlocks, percussion, cap and ball, and then a little bit of cartridge guns, but like single action kind of stuff Bob would like. A couple lever actions. They might have a gun or two that's more modern, just if because they're FFLs, they might just happen to have a couple kind of thing. But it's not the shop you would ever go to go, oh, I want to see a new Glock, because they would not have any Glocks, nor know anything about them, nor order them for you. So it's unique in that respect. Like I say, it's really a single action shooting store, and then
that sounds awesome.
Like a rendezvous type of store, like for your older stuff. And then if you're into the historic stuff and you need to get something fixed or cleaned up, or have somebody with actual knowledge of that stuff, that's the store you go to. So as far as being a store that you can go in and kind of just BS, we always want to encourage that, but we want to have our listeners, especially if you're new to guns and new to exploring gun shops, you want to be of value and not just a drag on their time. So at least give them some feedback, right? You don't want to just come in. The worst thing you could possibly do is come in, waste their time, and then not even offer anything and leave. At least the worst you can do as far as being just not taking as much advantage as you could. So if you're going to go in there and not buy anything, trying to give them some feedback. I found you from the bus stop, or I found you online here, or I heard about you from friends. At least that's something that they can take from your interaction.
Something that they can work with and move forward from there. Yeah, I gotcha.
But if you like the store at all, I'm definitely going to start advocating this more and more. Bring $20 with you, and I don't care what you buy. Leave that $20 there. I mean, if you've got to just buy $10 worth of stuff and leave them a tip, that's something. We're getting to that point. We've got states that are crumbling around us. We've got a potential, just horrible potential coming. Not written in stone, but this should be the kind of things that wakes us up to the concept that our actions have consequences. And again, we're trying to feature shops like this to encourage people to frequent these shops or to check them out. And I guess
so they don't go away.
Exactly. Part of that is let's leave some money there if we can. And I understand completely being poor that's difficult, but on the other hand, you appreciate completely being poor that a $20 bill can make a big difference. So this is the kind of shop where I hesitate to just send people in to BS with them. If you're going to go in and BS with them, buy something. But, man, it's definitely worth the experience. And if you're in Tucson and you're checking out the shops, my top 3 shops probably, they are just cool people. Obviously, if you're not into the older stuff, it's not going to be you're not going to appreciate it as much. But if you can tolerate that stuff, if you're at all interested and you hit them on the right day, you might get interested in them. Just actually being able to see them and get some actual insight from people that know about them. You might find out you like them more than you thought you did. But just to experience the shop, it's worth it. It's kind of right in the middle of the town, so depending on what you might be doing here, you can get to it fairly easily. Like I said, it's a little tough to find it where it is in the block, but as far as it in town, it's right in the middle. Anyway, that's the point of that segment of the show. So I do have a link to, I don't know if they have a website. I don't think they...
And that was what, Thunderstick Trading Company?
Yep, Thunderstick Trading. We've got a link in the comments to the show here, in the show notes. So if you're listening in the future, just go to Daily Gun Show and look for today's show, and you'll see it in the show notes. Like I say, though, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, is because that's a shop that back in the day when I was doing websites as a business, I would build websites for customers, for clients, and get their businesses online. It's a long story, but I would, I worked for a gun shop, so I would go in there constantly and just be like, more than once, I was like, look, let's get you online, and then if it works, worry about paying me, but let's get you online. You're losing customers by not being out there. And no, it just doesn't work. Not everyone is interested in this internet, has the time or interest or the resources to do anything about it. So we don't have to do everything as a transaction, or at least a financial transaction. I'm more than happy to share the show like this, and I'm going to encourage others to do so, because it's going to get the word out for that shop, and in spite of their knowledge or their interest or their perception of the internet, we can share a cool shop like this with others who are obviously interested in stuff like that. So that's that segment of the show. We'll put out the call again to encourage anybody that wants to participate in stuff like that. Make it a YouTube video, do a blog post, write some pictures on Instagram, and just link us to that stuff. Or if you're not interested in doing all that, just send us some raw pictures, and we'll add them to our websites. And let's give these gun shops a little extra promotion, a little extra coverage. We do it every day.
And yeah, I've been in there, and I gotta say, like, the people are friendly. Once, you know, even though I was in there as a Canadian, which meant I couldn't. I could buy the guns, but there wasn't any sense in it because I couldn't get them back across the border except for the flintlocks. But just really nice, friendly people. I mean, yeah, I was really impressed with just the, and it really is mom and pop. It looked like a husband and wife in their 80s.
Now, Bob, do you know if you could have taken like a nice powder horn or something back, even if it was empty or something?
Oh yeah, I could have. Like, accessories aren't a problem as long as they're legal in my country. But
Right.
yeah, so that would have been fine. I could have, like, literally bought a flintlock, and that's fine because that's not actually considered a gun in Canada. So, but you know, again, flintlocks they're fun to play with, but they're not real practical.
Bob doesn't think that new tech flint on there is going to be as effective as the wick that's already on fire.
The smoldering wick, yes.
No, hey, like, I actually prefer cap and ball. You know, I'm not that old.
Newfangled rocks to make my guns go off. I can't keep up with that. Carry rocks around. I'm used to carrying my wick.
Anyway, nice little shop. I recommend it to anybody that's in Tucson.
You know, that could be a segue from a gun shop to a gun.
That's true. We could do the gun of the day.
Why did you pick this gun?
Winchester model 1907. Because it was one of the semi-auto, or shithouse. Oh, got Dano's disease. It was one of the semi-automatics. It was one of the semi-automatics that was used in World War I, and it was used by the French and the Russians, actually. So, really interesting when you think about World War I. You don't think of semi-automatic rifles, but yet they were used, and it's not the only one. There was a few others. I think it was a rather odd caliber. What was that caliber? 35, I think.
Yeah, it was a
Like a 35
351?
Remington? Oh.
Yeah, 35 SLR.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came with 5 and 20 round magazine. So, I mean, really interesting when you think this is World War I, right? This is a gun designed in 1907, and yet it, you know, was a semi-automatic with a 20 round magazine. That's pretty high tech, you know.
And a detachable box magazine at that.
Yeah, exactly.
And later versions even were had the option to go full auto.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I don't know how controllable that would be. It was a rather different action.
I don't know how that works with in a rifle with blowback, but
Yeah, well, it would be different.
Actually, like, isn't that what a G3 is? Is roller is blowback on that? I mean, that's just later. But anyway, that's a sidetrack.
Yeah. But yeah, it's my gun. I think it's really interesting that we actually did have semi-automatics and all that stuff in World War One, because we always think of it as being a bolt action war. And while that was the majority, there were lever actions being used by the Russians, and yeah. So interesting period in time.
You know, I'm not. Where are we at with time? We're just screwing it up today. We're way over.
No, I think we're running.
we're 120.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely pushing it. So it's first day on the new channel, and it's a little weird having a different. I do it with a different browser, so I'm using the same machine, same computer, but normally I run in Chrome, and since we're doing it on a different account, I'm running with Internet Explorer, stupid browser, and it's weird. And so I'm using this as my excuse to why we're a little rusty today. But we're about to start the tactical quiz. Today I'm going to try a visual tactical quiz, so everybody who's listening to this as a podcast, if you're interested, will have to go back and watch it as a video, or not. You'll hear it. But we're going to be using pictures, and so people can get ready for that. But before we get into the tactical quiz, between the second and third segment of the show each day, we like to try to sell you on something to keep the show going. And today, at least once a week, I like to mention the AK playing cards, and I'll do that today. So the AK47 identification cards was a project that I'd had in my head for a while, and finally was able to get it created with the help of a bunch of people. I forget, hundreds of people, 600 people. It was crazy. It was a really interesting experience to deal with the crowdfunding thing at that level with actual perks, and of course publishing the cards was just incredible experience with the Bicycle Playing Card Company. So I guess I butchered that, but it was an idea that I had to do identification cards very much like the aircraft identification cards, but with Kalashnikov rifles. As a Kalashnikov connoisseur, I get a lot of questions, and then doing YouTube stuff, I get a lot of questions, people asking the differences between things. So I knew that the nomenclature and the various minor differences between the AKs over time, and then in different locations, different countries throughout the Soviet time, that can be confusing. So to help lay it out, obviously there's books written about it. I've seen some flashcards and stuff. Like, remember back in the day, we were talking about the 80s earlier, you could buy those various cards that would come a couple every month in the mail, and you would get into a subscription service, and eventually you'd get like this big card catalog with like picture cards, and they might be tigers or boats or something. Anyway, I remember a gun one of those, but never something specific to the AK. So, and then the other problem is when you put it into a book, you're confined to having the pages in whatever you call it when they're in the pages of a book, right? You can't take, unless you're going to rip your book apart, take this one and put it next to that one so easily. And for things like looks, that's not too bad, but when you're starting talking about metrics and stock lengths and this kind of thing for any kind of comparison, then that gets a little bit tougher. So I think the idea of having them on the identification cards, all the advantages of having the aircraft identification cards come to play. So anyway, it was a neat project, and enough people thought it was interesting to have it funded to the level where it was successful, and we were able to get them built or made or published or printed or whatever you want to call it, making cards. But we got to just below, well, quite a bit below where we could have them made here in the United States. At least according to my research, there's only one place to have those made, and that's the Bicycle Playing Card Company. They do all the different U.S. brands, and you can do custom cards with them as we did, but you have to have a massive minimum order. So it creates a massive order. When we let our friends in the industry know that we were in a situation where we had this potential but weren't quite there yet, even with the help of 600 people, and I want to say 670, I might be off, but thousands and thousands of dollars from hundreds and hundreds of people, we still weren't quite at that level. Kvar heard that. I was having a conversation with them on the phone, actually, about something else, and mutual friend brought up the cards, and they heard that it was at this needed to reach this threshold to have them made here in the United States. They didn't even ask. They made that happen. And long story short, every week I'm going to be mentioning these cards until they're gone. I think they're a lot of fun, and the fact that we were able to make them here in the U.S. is 100% attributable to Kvar or Arsenal. So I know there's a lot of people out there with agendas that are telling you what's good or what's bad or what you should buy. I don't care. I've known the guys from Kvar since 2004, and they're good people. They've brought innovation as far as the American market could have just sat there being a bunch of nothing. It could have been a bunch of copies of what's going on over there. Kvar being interested in the story and the lineage of the Kalashnikov, knowing the guys at Kvar know Kalashnikov, knew him. They have respect for all that. They brought guns over that were historically accurate. They kept their guns historically accurate. They didn't do things to cut costs. A lot of commercial stuff is made differently than military stuff. There's a reason Kvar has a reputation, or Arsenal has the reputation it has. That's deliberate actions of the people that brought those guns over here that didn't decide, sure, go ahead and cut quarters. Who cares what our customers buy? Because we're going to have the only AK from Bulgaria. They could have easily said that. Instead, they said, no, let's make sure that it's the closest thing to the actual firearms over there that the still complying with stupid U.S. laws. So anyway, great company. They allowed us to make those cards here in the U.S. They're only $15. It seems like we found a couple of people. I found a guy on eBay selling them, so there must be some kind of secondary market on these things. Only a certain amount were made. I honestly don't remember what the minimum order was, but it was like the minimum order at the card company, and there will be no more. Trust me. There's no possible way I'm going to come up with whatever thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to just go ahead and make another run of those cards. So at some point they are a collector's item, or in some respects they are a collector's item, but I just think they're a heck of a lot of fun. I think you guys all have the decks. They're fun to play cards with because they are a regular set of playing cards, and hopefully they keep conversations at poker games going, and hopefully make kids card trips. I remember growing up as a kid road tripping. Maybe it's another reason I like those cards and stuff. They lend themselves to playing solitaire in the back seat, or just letting your kids know more about AKs than their friends. So anyway, again, thanks to Kvar for letting us make those here in the United States. That means that paper came out of the United States. It got shipped with U.S. truckers and U.S. gas to Tennessee, or was it Kentucky? I feel bad. I think it was Kentucky. Then a bunch of people in Kentucky built a factory. A bunch of people in Kentucky go to work every day. A bunch of people in Kentucky printed those cards. A bunch of techs in Kentucky helped with all the art and everything, which was not an insignificant task. And then a bunch of people shipped those to you, probably in the United States. And a bunch of foreigners got them too. But that's a hell of a lot of money staying here and a hell of a lot of jobs here. So thanks to Kvar for that. And you can buy the decks for $15 over there. If you ever are buying anything over at Kvar, consider throwing a deck on there and then giving it to your postman, or maybe throw a deck at the local gun shop, or somebody who's bored at a gun show. I know.
Hey, thanks to you too, though, man. Because without your impulse or your will, it wouldn't have happened at all, ever.
My greed for the money, but yeah.
No, you did it out of passion, dude. I know you.
I did it because I figured.
Money.
Right on, but whatever, money you can get in. But it was I knew there was an opportunity to get a bunch of people together to make them happen, and that was the fun part too. And then showing them off to people who don't really necessarily think that there's hundreds of varieties of AK47 or Kalashnikov, I guess. Anyway, that was a long-ass break, but you can get them over at Kvar. We have a link in every show note, so we appreciate it that much, their help. Then we got the tactical quiz. Like I said, we're going to do a visual version of it today, so I guess I'll need your guys' help to watch the YouTube side and the gun channel side, because both live chats are eligible to win. And I'll see how, maybe I should stop screen sharing. I suspect this ain't going to be ideal. Yeah, because of there's might be some hints on the side, but we'll see how it goes. This will be the first one. You have to identify this photograph. I didn't say it's going to be easy, and I'm not guaranteeing there's going to be a winner. This isn't an easy pop quiz like Dano does, where there's a guaranteed winner every day.
Oh, you're just stabbing me in the heart.
Just saying, you hand out the prizes, basically like trick or treat. They show up to the door, they get a prize. But this one, they're going to have to work a little bit. We got Sean out there raping us on the daily prize every day. So got to make it to his level, and that means all the rest of you got to rise to his level. So maybe we should have done this with something else to talk about. So I guess we'll dig into something else and see if anyone can even get. There's 5 of these pictures. So
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So I started with a tough one. If one of you guys has this, I have full screen not available. I don't know what that means. Oh, he's on a phone, perhaps. It's not the Tula arsenal in Russia, but it does look like an AK factory. It's a horribly shitty, grainy picture of what looks like a whole bunch of Yugo. We can tell by the holes in the stocks there. And then the underfolders, so we know those are, and we can tell by the grenade launcher front cast block there, that this is a whole bunch of Yugos. It looks like they got bayonet lugs on them to me. I don't know about you, but that looks like a bayonet lug to me. This guy looks like he's holding what looks to be a Chinese, just from the quality of the wood on it. And then we can see a bunch of machine shops, and this guy's obviously holding another AK over here with a folding stock on it. So while it might look like a AK factory...
Oh, I think you just gave... I don't have an answer, but I think I got an answer.
Well, I did see 3 slots in the handguard.
You did or didn't?
I do see 3 slots.
Right. So Tony's saying it's my garage, number 1.
Nice.
Bigger than this. Number 2, I'm not going to let this dude's going to find all AKs in my garage. What is this? I'm not a hippie.
Hey,
so,
check my answer without saying it. You can tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
No, you can even guess. And it's not Century International Arms.
Okay.
I suspect, I've never been there, but I suspect Century has a way bigger operation than this. They're one of the biggest importers. So we'll dig into something else. We don't have any answers coming in, so maybe I stumped everybody.
People are scared, man.
There's 4 other questions, so you guys have to answer this one just to get to the other 4. All right, well, so let's dig into the next one.
Tough one.
Gun history, or
we did this wrong. We should have done other stuff to have, and should have not have done other stuff so we could fill in. So let me ask Z. You've got usually the most time constraint. How bad are we today? Where are you with time? Do you have a little time?
I got a little time, yes.
Because I've got something that we could potentially dig into here that might be too big for adding on to a show. And I'll just say Dano asked if it was the Yugo, the Zastava, or the Croatia factory, which are all the same thing, and it is not. Even though there are Yugos in the picture, it is not. All right. Well, I guess we'll just go on to the next one and make that one. You have to go on. You have to somehow.
Oh wait, this is a multi-tiered tactical quiz, or are we just going on to the next segment?
No, there's 5 questions to this, and you.
Oh my God.
The first one. So what are these? This should be super easy. There's basically a sticker on there showing you what they are.
What are these? Let me see.
And I have to do it this way because I'm just using my Instagram pictures, and if I don't, then you can see. I guess I could put it in the middle, but you could see if I scrolled over what the answer is basically, because everybody says it in Instagram. So what you're seeing on the screen is 4 colored rifles, and I'm asking you what they are. It should be simple. There's only 3 options for this. If I can.
Are those crickets?
Well, you can't answer.
Oh well, shit. Sorry.
Yeah. Answer in the side.
But no, they're not crickets. So that eliminates the big one. So now either looking at tiny baby guns, and they're not crickets. So there can only be like 2 other options right now. Oh, snap. So new thrown clay got that one.
Wait, so where? What?
This one is obviously from episode 6 or season 6, episode 3, called "The Gun of MacGyver," when he goes to an AK47 factory in California, for crying out loud. This is common basic knowledge for AK-47 aficionados.
Wow.
This first picture is a screen capture from Season 6, Episode 3 of the show MacGyver. It originally aired in October of 1990, which goes right along with our movies of the 90s. See how I tie that all in? And then the episode is called "The Gun." It's this horrible episode about a heroin junkie who steals a revolver that started World War I or something, and he goes around shooting people with it, and how the gun is the actual evil thing in society. And then, how MacGyver is. He goes to this AK-47 factory and pushes them all around and shows them.
Well, he's Canadian, so.
Anyway, that was excellent. So that was on the YouTube, on the Gun Channel side.
Gun Channels.
Of course, because how would a YouTuber be able to know something of this sophistication. So New Throne Clay, welcome to the mix. So now we
Yeah,
go
way
on.
to make an entrance, bro.
Just wailing on the YouTube side. And then we've got this picture again. So now you've got 1 point. There's 5 possible points today. Nobody's going to answer this one, I guess, so I'll go on to the next one. I guess we can have more than one up on the screen.
Well, I have an answer from Tony on the YouTube side. Are those FN trainers?
FN trainers? No. I didn't know FN made a little tiny gun, did they?
I have no clue. I'm just going with what I'm reading.
The actual... Oops, I just screwed it up. So anybody who's... reading it right now. Whoops. How do I get rid of this? It's eating. What happened? A minute ago, I didn't have it. I was just going to say anybody who's watching can see what a box of 22 is in comparison to the whole rifle, compared to the trigger guard and stock and stuff. So these are definitely little tiny rifles. Anyhow, so that's enough hints. Shouldn't have to give you hints. We didn't have to give the YouTube or the gun channel side hints that this is a still image of a TV show from 1990.
He pulled that out of the ether, by the way. I mean, that's just an amazing.
I've talked about that a billion times, so it's either dedicated or just somebody knows it's MacGyver or knows his AKs, or all of the above. So
or listens to G-Webs like E.F. Hutton.
This one's super easy. All you have to do is identify one of these correctly, and if you say something as vague as Kalashnikov bayonet, obviously you're not in it. So you just have to identify one of these bayonets. They're super easy.
Yeah,
Bob was standing there when I bought all of these. Bonus points if you can figure out what this is. Nobody will. Let's see. I'm just not seeing anything coming in on the YouTube side. They might have just retired.
Well, plus a new channel. So, was I wrong on the guess?
What are you saying in the internal? I have to go to the...
Yes, I did say on the
Well,
internal.
one of them, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go on to the next one, and you'll have to get at least 2 points. So I'm not just going to give this away for just knowing an obvious MacGyver question.
Oh,
So
I like how you say obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, obvious.
Uh-huh.
So then
The 30-year-old, 40-year-old show is obvious.
it's the episode where they go into an AK-47 factory. So
Okay.
They might have not even showed it on my TV. You know, you say that like it was common knowledge or whatever. I didn't get a chance to watch when it was in syndication or whatever.
So what we're looking at here is a bit of a diorama from the Pima Air and Space Museum, and you just have to identify what we have here. What is in this picture? Simple. The one on the right.
Oh.
On the left, you just have to identify one of the bayonets. So now I'll take a minute to jump back over.
So do you only have to, the third picture, you only have to identify one of those things, or where they come from, or what each one is and does?
Okay, and this photograph of the bayonets, simply identify one of the 3 bayonets more specifically than a generic Kalashnikov bayonet, because they all are Kalashnikov bayonets. So that one just requires you to know more about one of those. This one, however, although there's multiple things in the picture, the question is, what is this? What are we looking at? This accumulation of stuff, what is it?
Okay.
So it's a little bit different in essence. Although in the future maybe we will ask specifically what's this crazy yellow butter knife looking thing. And we all know that's probably for like a rescue raft, and then you have to butter your biscuits, your little cracker thingies. Survival kit for commandos of World War II is very close, but it is not. Very close.
Well, then I feel like I might be right.
Oh, you're answering too? Sorry, it's weird having to jump over here. Yeah.
That's all right. Well, I'm no longer saying them out loud, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's a good point, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We're not even getting guesses on the gun shell side. I don't think
Well,
we're going to do winner today. We won't go on
Sean
forever.
Connery had to run out, so
Exactly.
maybe
He's
that's
our,
why.
He's our, what do they call that, anchor? He's our...
Yeah. He's our knowledge bomb.
That's probably a good thing, because how many times can we let him win?
Okay, so Tony changed it, which is totally valid in the rules, since there are no rules. He said, okay, then resistance fighters. And I don't know if that's so good a guess, because I don't think the resistance got a bunch of orange shit that was made out of metal. But, so no. But it is, you're close. You're in the right time frame, I think. Right, Bob? But just not quite what we're talking about. So anyway, I think the resistance fighters would have gotten, like, well, ideally, what, a Liberator, but more likely just some kind of knife, right? and then
And a cricket.
and up in a point in a general direction. Well, we're really not getting anything on the YouTube side, so I'll just throw the last one out here. Super
So
easy.
what? So I'm winning so far, is what you're telling me?
Yeah,
I got
basically
two.
Z wins.
All right.
So
Let's
the last one you would have been able to just easily identify one of these, just any of them. There's like 6, 7 different guns on the screen.
That isn't as easy as you think.
Oh, come on. Super simple. All you had to do is identify one out of the mix. This one, everybody knows what that one is. This one, everybody knows what it is. This one, come on. This one.
Okay, now that one I can name number one.
Come on. And then this one, come on. This one, maybe you don't know it's a German MPIKS, but
I
you
would have
can
guessed
say
German.
AK.
Yeah, I would have said German.
Exactly.
But I can guess number one. That one I just saw the other day.
Not allowed, Z.
No, I didn't. I just
No,
said
there's
it
no way
the other
anybody's
day.
going to win. We can go ahead and write this one off. It was too much for anybody. Vietnam survival kit? Damn, that's pretty close. Would you say that's the correct answer to this one, Bob?
Man, I say just tell him one more time where the diorama is.
At the Pima Air and Space Museum. Oh, you know what we can do? We can, instead of spoiling it for everybody, we can leave this one to our podcast listeners. So,
Oh, boy. But they can't see what it is, though.
Our live viewers couldn't handle it today. They couldn't keep up with the 5 simple questions. So anybody who wants to watch in the YouTube side in the future, because this will be not live anymore, it'll render into a video over on our new channel. So it's a good way to start out the first show on the new channel.
Oh, I'm down with that.
So
I'm definitely down with that.
On YouTube, go to Daily Gun Show, watch this episode. It's episode 103, and then you'll have a chance to participate. Basically, we'll just say whoever wants to answer most completely the answers. You already know the first one, which is the easiest one, and then this one nobody still answered, and then answer one of these, which you probably just saw the thing, so it's even cheating, and then that last one was just one of those AKs, which I can't find now because I'm trying to hide the answers.
So you want them to email us their answers?
Yeah, and then the first one that emails it enough correctly will win the massive prize. And the prize today is, of course, the Deca AK playing cards that we talked about earlier. But then we've been throwing on to sweeten that pot, make it worth all your efforts. Basically a limited run patch. Like I was screwing around with patches the other day, trying to figure out what border colors would look right or what background colors make the image pop or whatever best. And we have patches that are good to go. They're just weird. They have different colors and stuff, so might not be visually appealing. They might be completely wrong actually. But instead of getting the bacon and eggs, you get bloody eggs and raw bacon. So we called the one when we reversed the white and red on a couple of them. So you'll get kind of blemished, I guess you could think of it, or as like
a red eye.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They had little white dots on the eggs to accent them, I guess. So when you reverse them, it made little bloody spots on the eggs, and it turned the bacon like predominantly white with a little bit of red instead of red with a lot of white, or white with a lot of red, like real meaty bacon's supposed to be. So looks kind of odd. But anyway, we're throwing some of those in, so we don't just throw them away, and so that hopefully you get something that's completely unique, made by us here in our machines, and it's a way of saying thanks to the people that put enough time and effort in to answer these simple questions.
Yes. So send your answers to the Tactical Quiz, the Daily Gun Show at gmail.com. Reference this show so that you know what you're talking about.
The most complete answer that comes in first, basically.
Yes.
Exactly. And then we'll have something to look forward to next week. So we were talking about doing that anyway, making the Tactical Quiz into a rollover thing. So worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, so there's this thing from The Truth About Guns. I was hanging out in the AZCDL old-fashioned, archaic way of communicating, and this was dropped out there. Like I said, I think I'm just going to allude to it today. I'm not going to dig into it because it deserves its own time. Let me stop screen sharing so I can try to figure out what's going on my screen here. And then it basically, though, is, I guess to sum it up, it's an article that somebody linked to, and it's an article about another article to make it as confusing as possible. And that original article is about an anti-gunner's post on how to talk to gun people. So in other words, it started out, this is a review of a review of a review kind of thing, but the original thing that started it all was anti-gunners, anti-freedom, anti-individual rights, anti-everything, bunch of idiots. are putting out the, I don't know what you call it, like the rules of engagement, I guess, or like their suggested rules of engagements to their sheep, like how to talk to gun people. And it's things like don't say gun control, do say common sense, all that crap that gets on our nerves. And some of it is annoying because it's specifically designed to be basically to lie and to hide their actual agenda, while they acknowledge their actual agenda in their urge to their call to action. You know, they acknowledge that removal of guns from society being the ultimate goal. Here's the way, here's the words you use to be able to deal with the mouth breathers that are resisting evolution or whatever. So they wrote that call to action to anti-gunners. Somebody out there on the blogs read that and made an article, and then they made a call to action to pro-gun owners' rights, pro-individual freedom, pro-liberty advocates, and said, let's make some articles like this of our own. And that's what I got linked to, an article about how to talk to an anti-gunner. And we've attempted to have conversations, entire chats, entire hour-plus long chats on this subject, and it can get crazy controversial. There's people that don't think it's worth it. There's people that don't think you should. They don't think we should waste our own time. They perceive it as wasting our time. They don't think that it's of any value. It's not fruitful. It's not an effort worth pursuing. And then there's people that take it very seriously and have put a lot of time and effort into thinking about the psychology and the, I don't know, whatever, the chess of having a conversation and trying to actually get something out of that conversation, not just talk at someone, but talk with someone and try to really figure out their position, and knowing all the elements of the situation, hopefully at least give them an opportunity. Put so much good stuff in front of them that they are encouraged to dig around a little themselves instead of just regurgitating the same old, same old. So anyway, I've always been a big advocate of that. I'm hoping that we can include more of that in the show. And I saw this the other day, and I was like, oh man, I got to add it to the show today, but I think we just screwed up time too bad to give it any justice. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to try to squeeze this in the rest of the week sometime, or I'd really also like to break it up into a bunch of pieces and then distribute them out into our schedule so that on this general topic we can go in and hit some of these things more specifically, a little bit more in depth.
I think that'd be great. We just do like one portion or segment where we do the overview, but then as we go from there, we have like either one segment a week or something, or a couple segments a week where we take one of the compare and contrast, like you were saying, because it's literally on one side of the list it's the pro stuff, on the other side it's telling you what to say if you don't want to be argumentative or whatever.
Right. Could we do like one item a day, or would that be too much?
No, actually, I was just thinking as Z described that sounded exactly like, was that a series of 2 or more videos you did, Dano, where you took that, I forget the website now, and you went through and in a chat with a bunch of us, we went through and hit all those different points so that we could specifically have experienced the plus and minuses of having various debates with anti-freedom people. And yeah, I was just thinking, how cool would it be if we just did that as part of our daily show again? I mean, we're trying to give people healthy tips. We're trying to let them know about gun shops. Let's arm them with verbal munitions and knowledge so that we can use some of that verbal aikido and win some minds where we have to take their souls.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's add that in.
Cool. So we'll definitely be doing that then. And I don't know, we're killing it with time today. I mentioned a healthy tip. Stronger grip means better control of a firearm. We try to include something every day to, keep the concept that the most important part of our gear every day is the thing carrying it, the part that pulls that trigger. So specifically today, we're talking about the stronger grip, meaning giving you better control of a firearm. I don't think anybody needs to elaborate on that, right? It's pretty common sense. So. Do you guys have those little springy things that you squeeze on? I usually do pretty good with those things. You know what I'm talking about? They're just sort of
I got the grip springs like you're talking, and then I also have the finger ones that they also use for like musicians and stuff like that. But that works really good because you can isolate each finger.
But every time I see those, they look like they're plastic and cheap. So I never bought one because I figured I'd figure it out.
And they come in 3 strengths. The one where I'm talking where you can do each finger.
So you do have those?
I
Is that
got
what
2.
you get?
I love it.
Okay. I was gonna say I use the spring.
And I believe that's Master Grip.
I use those V-shaped things. They're just old days, thing where you
Yep.
squeeze it. But my problem is I usually hang them somewhere, and then I'll be doing something different, get a phone call or whatever, and I'll hang them somewhere wrong, and then I won't see them for 6 months, and then I'll find them and be like, oh yeah. So it's,
Yeah, I know how that goes.
what about like the rubber balls and stuff? Anybody done those?
Yeah, I used the rubber balls. They work pretty good.
Like stress balls?
I've tried those, and
Just a racquetball or something, or a tennis ball even. You just squeeze on something that it's like isometric tension, right? You're squeezing on something and that gives you muscle.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure.
What about these things where you kind of pull your hands apart or you push your fingers towards each other to get grip strength by pushing your hands against each other so that both sides are
isometric exercises?
Yeah, those are good, and you can do them anywhere.
Well, the other thing I like about having a strong grip, I guess just growing up having to do stuff, like I had to do chores every weekend, and when your chores are like collecting trees or stuff.
I was just say, you want to drop that log, or do you not want to drop that log? You don't want to drop that log. You better have a good grip on that log.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know where you were going at first, and then I'm like, yeah, exactly. So I think I just grew up the way my grandparents and my dad made me. I grew up with grip strength, I guess. Being in scouts and stuff probably helped. But I've noticed that I don't really shake hands. I don't know about you guys, but I don't run in circles unless I'm with gun people. Sometimes they shake hands, but nobody else in the world shakes hands. They have no respect or honor or anything, so they don't shake hands very much. So every once in a while, when you do need to do something, and I'm talking like when I worked at AOL or like in business or something, and you can just demonstrate some hand strength once in a while. It seems like it's one of those little subtle things that a lot of people don't have and don't aspire toward.
It's a defining character to have a firm handshake, sir.
It was. I don't know if I would say that anymore. The hipsters and the
Well, think about it. It's still a defining character. It just simply intimates that they don't have a defining character. That they don't have defining character.
You're right. The rest of the planet or whatever would probably still agree with you, and they just choose not to keep up, I guess.
Well,
they might be sensitive to the subject. So
We should have started this whole discussion with a warning that there might be trigger words.
truly.
Right. I mean, there's nothing more of a turnoff than somebody that wants to shake my hand, and it's like shaking the dead fish.
Now, I'm not assuming that most of the people that are shaking my hand are there to turn me on, though, either. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Well, no, but usually when you're reading something, you're trying to make a positive impression. And
Yes,
it doesn't make a positive impression from another man to have a female-type grip.
No,
Well,
it's
I've also
immediately
had-
distracting, right? You're like, why did that guy wipe his sweat off on me? Or like, what
Yeah.
happened right there? It distracts me because, like I said, I don't shake hands that often. So when somebody's I don't usually stick my hand out either. I don't want to touch people unless they want to touch me. And then if they stick their hand out and they got that what Dan was describing, it's like, what? Seriously? Why'd you start out with this if that's what you're going to throw out there? Like now I'm
I've had
distracted.
people complain though. I mean, I've shook like when I was younger. Anyway, not so much now because I'm getting older. But and plus I kind of trained to not do it. But I used to have because I was raised that way, right? And you have that real manly handshake.
Right.
And
right.
I've had people complain. Ow, like you hurt my hand. And
Well, now the idea isn't necessarily to crush their hand when you shake it either.
Right.
I didn't think I was, but apparently if you grow up on a farm, handshakes are quite different than what city folks do.
Well, the handshake
No,
you give a
that's-
woman is different than the handshake you give another man.
Well, no, Bob's right. You give a hipster or a millennial a handshake, and you expect a dude is gonna handshake.
You better be careful they don't file assault charges on you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Just
know it's
saying.
saying. I think like if you expect somebody to shake your hand and then and then you're going in to anticipate another man's handshake or whatever, you don't necessarily go in there to crush their hand. It's just you're closing your hand and they're that
Right.
flimsy that they're like, oh.
It's a firm grip. It's not a crushing grip.
Right.
No, I know. That's I think of it like well, what the hell, we're getting way too much into handshakes out of this. Supposed to be grip shakes, but
A little bit off topic.
let's talk about though the other end of that from the gun side. That we are always a lot of people. I just kind of assume I watch a lot of people's sharing their stuff on the gun channels now, but on YouTube before, and I'm assuming it's more the same. A lot of people go to the range and shoot indoors, either because they like it or they can only do that. And indoors, you tend to shoot inside a box, right? You're shooting down a lane. You're shooting with a ton of rules, and you're almost always going to have both your hands on there. You're going to shoot what's comfortable. Since you're shooting marksmanship most of the time, you're not even able to shoot other ways. You're just going to be less inclined to shoot one-handed. So if that's the situation, or if it's a situation where you're not getting enough time, trigger time, one-handed, that's where that grip strength comes in a lot. Because when you start thinking about also alternative grips, quick grips, and weird angles and body positions. You're sitting in the car as opposed to standing or sitting at a desk, or in the transition of getting out of the car and now you're drawing. Those are the kind of times when that's easy enough for that gun to get stuck or caught on something or slip loose. So again, giving yourselves as many advantages in that situation as possible, and that's typically when when Murphy's going to get you. That's when the lethal force is going to be needed, not when you're standing up squared and all ready and able to make that good two-handed draw and presentation and a good two-handed grip and stance and everything.
Yeah, I actually like shooting one-handed. I seem to be a little more accurate. So,
because kind of relating to what you're talking about, the grip on a gun is like a firm handshake. You're not holding it like it's a dead fish. You're holding it, but you're not trying to choke it to death like you got a snake in your hand either.
Unless you want to get it in the face.
All right.
I don't even know what happened there.
It wasn't close enough with the grip strength. Bob has to go there. So I think that's a good time to.
Okay.
They're supposed
Move
to be
along.
tips, but that's part of the show. And give us some feedback. We are trying to build a show that people are interested in watching. So we're not just here to blab. We can blab in the evenings because we end up chatting just general freeform in the evenings anyway. But we do want to keep the show interesting for people, and we've mentioned it before. We have the email address, dailygunshow@gmail.com. You can find us on the web page, dailygunshow.com. We're also on all the other social medias. However, we're going to ask you to use the email, since that's something that we can all check, and we check it on a regular basis. If you send all of your feedback through there, that'd be great. However, if you're on those platforms, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel. Although we've all been doing this for quite a while, we're on our 103rd show. The channel is brand new, and the way that these social media platforms work is they're going to try to recommend things that are interesting to you as you're watching something as a viewer. The only way they can know what might be interesting to you is to start assigning metrics or numbers to things, and some of those things are the tags that might say we're a podcast, and that we're about guns, and that we're having a conversation, so that we can get out there to more people. We're going to encourage you to subscribe to our channel. That will let the systems do their thing and recommend us to more people, and that's the whole point, is to get more ears out there, more people participating both live and via email, so that the show can develop, and as long as we're still having fun with it. I mean, we're not going to develop it into something that none of us enjoy, but as long as we can balance on that line between where we have a good time and people are interested in what we share, then we'll continue to evolve. And like we just did, we came up with the idea of talking about a talking point every day.
Yeah. And let me go ahead and take this opportunity to let everyone know tonight on Gun Channels is Never Enough Ammo. Matt, he will have a show tonight. Tonight tends to be his political slash gun night.
But I know what I will be talking about on his show tonight is that show I just watched, what's it called? Stranger Things, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that show was awesome. And I know Matt's seen it, and I'm pretty sure Yankee's seen it. So if Yankee ain't skating around somewhere, I imagine we'll be talking about it, because it's all about the 80s, and we like to say we all grew up back then. And did I also mention that there's like 6 G30 vans in it, and they flip one completely from like Blues Brothers end over end, up in the air flip of a G30 one-ton Chevy, and this is like an 86 van, an 80-something van, probably an 87 or 88, but just an excellent show. So we'll be talking about that tonight. I was going to say, too, we need more Wednesday people. How come Wednesdays used to be like the most busy night of gun
We used to
channels?
have We Like Shooting, and we don't have We Like Shooting on Wednesday night anymore.
Yeah, I think TAC was on Wednesdays for a while. It seemed like there was multiple shows overlapping each other, and then everybody spread out, and then now Matt's just left on Wednesdays. I think Shooter's Mindset, if I remember right, is still on Wednesdays. I cannot remember when Fate of Destiny does her thing over on like Live Leak or something. She does a different platform. But one of the things that we'll do here as we get our crap together behind the scenes is we'll use this as an excuse to reach out to more people that are doing consistent content creation like that, the live stuff, to offer them the tools we have over at Gun Channels, but also just so that we can incorporate it into our schedule that Dano does every day. Because if you're listening to this as a podcast, now that I am listening to more podcasts, I can totally understand how it would, people are going to appreciate if we'll describe some of our other podcasts that we like. Dano's digging Soft Rep, the Special Operation Forces report. That's not what it is, though.
But they cover far more than just special operations.
Yeah, they're great.
Rep is report, so it's the I just can't think of what F stands for in that particular jumble. But anyway, it's an excellent one. It's a bunch of military stuff, but way better. I mean, not just military stories. It's pretty good. So anyway, we'll be mentioning more of those if we can get, like I say, direct communication with some of them, so we know what their schedules are. Because that's the other thing, is our schedule over there is the best of our ability. It's not, like there's someone. It's not as though there's like a TV guide that we can just go copy. We're creating the TV guide, and since everybody's just regular old people for the most part, things change, and stuff like knowing that Heavy is every other week when Yankee goes, and knowing that I'm kind of debating when to do the AK one, that stuff is tough to pin down. So we'll try to keep lines of communications open, I guess, so that we can keep that schedule as accurate as possible via the live show here. All right, we're getting long-winded, so was there another thing that we were going to talk about today?
Bob.
No, I think that's
about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm discounting that gun movie since we talked about gun movies in the 90s. I'm discounting the one.
Yeah, because it was raised very quickly.
Periscope, I accidentally crossed that one out. I didn't even realize we didn't hit it, but yeah, we don't really need to talk about that.
Yeah, we did kind of hit it, but...
All right, so I guess we'll see you tomorrow for the 104th episode. Today we talked about the double action, single action. We talked a bit for the movies of the 90s. We had the tactical quiz and a lot of other fun stuff. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the evolution of the case, the cartridge itself, the brass part. In our history section, we'll be talking about steel case versus brass case in the training section. And then we talk about all the firearms events that are upcoming. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Adios.
And on that note, as everybody knows, we like to end our show with a quote. And our quote today is from George Washington, first President of the United States. The very atmosphere of firearms anywhere restrains evil interference. They deserve a place of honor with all that's good. And on that note, I'd like to say thanks to everybody for listening and watching. And we'll see you all tomorrow.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.